Welcome to Power BI tutorial. Today we are going to talk about data model in Power BI and how to create them. As you can see, I have a data sample that I got from data.world. I will share the link in the description below as well, so anyone can access that data. So we are going to create a data model from a single table. As you can see, we have a global superstore table. It has a lot of columns, a lot of data in this, but we need a better data model. Why data model is important? Data model is important because you want to reduce the redundancy, storage, and requirements and enable efficient retrieval of data so that you want to divide those singular table in multiple tables so that you can access data very efficiently. So let's start uh, the process of creating a data model, a simple data model to be exact. Let's start the process of creating a that simple data model. We have to go to a transform data to access Power Query. What Power Query does is provides us with so much potential that we can transform our data in many different ways. We will look into that a bit later, but right now we are going to create multiple tables out of a single table, which is called global superstore in this example. Let's start with the process that we're going to first duplicate it from left hand side where it says queries. We're going to right click and duplicate the table. What this will do will duplicate the original table. And now what we want to do is create tables based on the specific columns that we require in this table. For example, we are going to create an order table, and order table requires only the data related to orders, which is going to be order ID, order date, and ship mode, and one more column that will be at the end, order priority. So what we are going to do is select these columns by holding the control button and left clicking the one that we want to create or the ones we want to keep. We were going to keep this row ID as well because the reason being we want to create a relationship with the original tables as well. Without this row ID, we won't be able to create a relationship and we won't be able to access the data when we are creating our visualizations. So let's select this as well and right click and remove other columns. This will remove all of the other columns that we don't require in this table. As you can see, the apply steps as well on the right side. We're going to rename this table as well. Let's call it order table. We have our first table called order table. Now let's go back to the original table again because we want to create at least two more table out of this data. The next one, I think it will be for customer table, which in which we are going to use customer ID, customer name, and if let's see if we find other column related to customers. I think that is it. And oh yes, also selecting the row ID again to keep the relationship between the tables. So what we are going to do, duplicate and select the column that we want to keep and repeating the same process, remove other columns, renaming it to customer table, and going back again to the original table, and we want to create one more table. We could create maybe two more, but we will in this example will create only one more, which will be related to product, selecting the product columns that we are going to need in the table. So duplicating this original table again and selecting those columns that we require in the product table, which will be product ID, category, subcategory, product name. Yeah, I think so. That will be it. And Repeating the same process, remove all the columns, renaming the table to product table, and we have our three tables: order table, customer table, and product table. Now, as you can see, the columns we have in the product table, the four columns that we have, and the same with the customer table, we have two columns here, and in order table we have five columns. What this means is we don't need these columns in the original table because we wanted to reduce the size of the original table because we want to have a clear understanding of our data. So we divided those columns in the only singular table into subtable so that we know what sort of data we have in those tables. This will provide us easier look, and we will be able to find those columns when we need them in our visualizations, when we creating visuals, and when we want to create DAX calculations and measures for them. So what we can do now is remove those columns that we have used to create other tables. So let's remove them to reduce the storage size and so that our model looks a bit more easier to understand and less complex. Let's select these tables, or sorry, columns that we want to remove. And right clicking and remove columns. So those columns are removed. Let's close and apply and see the result in the model as well as data, waiting for it to apply. Yeah, so it applies the steps that we did in the Power Query. Let's look at in the data panel. As you can see, we have our customer table with the data, then the columns that we selected, again with the order table as well, and same with the product table. Now let's look at the data model that we created and the tables we created. To go to the model, let's select the model tab. As you can see, Power BI created a relationship between the tables, the ones we created using Power Query, and it assigns a relationship so that we can access these data when we are using our visualization. We will talk about the relationship one-on-one and one-to-many in the other video. For the now, it was just about creating a simple data model using the Power Query. So thank you for watching the video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like the video. We'll see you next time. Take care. Goodbye.